Right now, in a dusty diner off a Tulsa highway, a war is brewing, and it's not the kind you'd expect. Picture this: a waitress named Sarah Miller, her hands and neck scarred like a battle map, pours coffee with the kind of calm that makes your skin crawl. Across the room, Ethan Carter, a tech mogul with a smirk as sharp as his suit, slams his fist on the table. "Hey, Scarface," he bellows, his voice slicing through the chatter. "Don't burn the coffee with those crispy hands." The diner erupts in cruel laughter, forks pause mid-air, and every eye locks on Sarah. But here's the thing, Sarah doesn't flinch. Her grip on the coffee pot is steady, her eyes burning with a secret so explosive it could torch Ethan's world to ashes. What Ethan doesn't know, what no one in that greasy spoon knows, is that Sarah's scars aren't just marks. They're proof of a life that stared down death and walked away. In the next 35 minutes, you're about to witness a showdown that'll leave your jaw on the floor. Will Sarah crumble under Ethan's venom, or is she hiding a power that'll bring his empire crashing down? Stick around, because this isn't just a story, it's a lesson in why you never underestimate the quiet ones. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the fight of a lifetime. The neon sign outside Rusty's diner flickers, casting a red glow over the gravel lot where pickups and sedans jostle for space. It's Thursday evening in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2025, and the air inside hums with the clink of plates and the low murmur of a dozen conversations. Sarah Miller, 38, weaves through the tables, her scarred hands deftly balancing a tray of burgers and shakes. Her white uniform is crisp, her brown hair pulled into a tight bun, but it's her eyes, sharp, unyielding, that hint at a story buried deep. Rusty's is no five-star joint, it's a slice of Americana, where truckers swap stories, families cram into booths, and corporate types like Ethan Carter's crew treat the place like their personal playground. Sarah's been here 2 years, serving coffee and swallowing insults with a grace that unnerves even the rowdiest drunks. But tonight, the air feels heavier, like the calm before a storm. Ethan Carter, 42, lounges at the corner booth with his pack of tech bros from Carter Tech, a Tulsa startup riding high on shady contracts. His tailored blazer and Rolex scream money, but his loud, nasal voice betrays a hunger for control. Every Thursday, his group targets Sarah, their laughter a ritual as predictable as the jukebox's country tunes. Tonight, they're in rare form, their eyes glinting with malice as they watch her work. Ethan leans back, sipping his soda, and mutters to his right-hand man, Lucas Hayes, "Bet she's got a rap sheet longer than her scars." Lucas, a wiry accountant with a cruel streak, chuckles. Probably torched her own trailer for the insurance. The table roars, but Sarah, delivering fries to a nearby family, doesn't even glance their way. Her silence only fuels their need to break her. Across the diner, Jake Thompson, 45, sits alone at the counter, his faded army jacket blending into the shadows. A former sergeant with 2 tours in Afghanistan, Jake's in town to visit his sister, but Rusty's cheap coffee drew him in. His weathered hands cradle a mug, and his gaze keeps drifting to Sarah. There's something about her, the way she moves with purpose, the way she absorbs Ethan's barbs without a crack in her facade, that stirs memories of soldiers under fire. Jake's seen that kind of calm before, in places where hesitation meant death. He scribbles a note on a napkin, his gut telling him Sarah's more than she seems. The diner's manager, Tom Grayson, 50, hovers near the kitchen, wiping sweat from his brow. He knows Ethan's crew brings in cash, and their tips keep the lights on. But Sarah's his best worker, and the guilt of letting her take their abuse gnaws at him. As Ethan's voice rises, Tom hesitates, caught between profit and decency. Sarah, meanwhile, sets a plate down with precision, her lips twitching in a way that's not quite a smile. She's counting something, maybe seconds, maybe sins. Whatever it is, it's clear she's playing a game Ethan can't even see. The hum of Rusty's diner grows taut, like a guitar string stretched to its breaking point. It's 6:30 p.m., and the Tulsa sunset bleeds orange through the diner's smudged windows, painting the checkered floor in hues of fire. Sarah Miller, 38, glides between tables, her scarred hand steady as she refills coffee mugs and clears empty plates. The weight of Ethan Carter's gaze follows her every move, his corner booth a stage for his Thursday night ritual. Ethan, 42, leans forward, his tech bro posse, Lucas Hayes, the snide accountant, and two junior execs, Ryan and Nate, hanging on his every word. Their laughter, sharp and rehearsed, cuts through the diner's chatter, and Sarah is their unwilling spotlight. Tonight, though, Ethan's eyes burn with something darker, a need to push beyond his usual taunts. He's not just here to mock, he wants to shatter her. Ethan drains his soda, the ice clinking as he sets the glass down with a deliberate thud. "Yo, Sarah." He calls, loud enough to turn heads. "What's the deal with those scars? You fall into a fryer at your last gig?" Lucas snorts, egging him on. "Nah, man, she was probably cooking meth in her basement. Blew the whole place up." The table erupts, Ryan and Nate slapping the table, their faces flushed with glee. A family at a nearby booth shifts uncomfortably, the mother shooting Ethan a disapproving glance before looking away. Sarah, delivering a milkshake to a teenage couple, doesn't falter. Her movements are fluid, almost mechanical, as she sets the glass down and tucks a straw beside it. But her eyes, dark and unreadable, flicker toward Ethan's booth for a split second, a spark in a powder keg. Jake Thompson, 45, watches from the counter, his army jacket slung over the stool beside him. His coffee's gone cold, but he hasn't noticed. His fingers tighten around the mug as Ethan's voice grows louder, each word a jab meant to draw blood. Jake's seen this before, not in diners, but in war zones, where cruelty was a way to feel powerful. Sarah's calm, though, is something else. It's not the resignation of a victim, it's the discipline of someone who's faced worse and walked away. He leans forward, elbows on the counter, trying to catch her eye. She's too focused, her attention split between her tasks and the storm brewing at Ethan's table. Jake mutters to himself, "Come on, Sarah, give him something." He doesn't know her story, but his gut screams she's got one. Ethan, sensing the diner's attention, ramps up his performance. He stands, his blazer open, and strides toward the counter where Sarah's wiping down a ketchup bottle. The diner quiets, forks hovering, as customers brace for what's next. "Hey, Scarface," Ethan says, his voice dripping with mock curiosity. "Level with us. Was it a gang thing? You get caught in a drive-by?" He pauses, smirking, then leans closer. "Or maybe your boyfriend got tired of you and decided to teach you a lesson. That's it, right?" The words land like a slap, and a gasp ripples through the room. Lucas cackles, but Ryan and Nate exchange uneasy glances, sensing Ethan's crossed a line. Tom Grayson, the manager, pokes his head out from the kitchen, his face pale. He takes a step forward, then stops, his hands twisting a dish rag. He can't afford to lose Ethan's business, but the air feels combustible. Sarah sets the ketchup bottle down with deliberate care, her scarred fingers lingering on the glass. She turns to face Ethan, her posture straight, her expression a mask of calm that unnerves him. "You done?" she asks, her voice low and even, like a blade sliding from its sheath. Ethan blinks, thrown by her lack of fear. He expected tears, a stammer, anything but this. "Nah, I'm just getting started," he snaps, recovering his bravado. He steps closer, towering over her, his breath hot with entitlement. "People like you don't belong in places like this. You're a walking hazard. What's next, you gonna burn the diner down?" The accusation hangs, and for a moment, the only sound is the faint buzz of the jukebox switching tracks. Sarah's lips twitch, not a smile, but something colder, more dangerous. "People like me," she repeats, her voice steady but laced with an edge that makes Lucas shift in his seat. "You sure you know what that means, Ethan?" The use of his name, casual yet pointed, catches him off guard. He laughs, but it's forced, a crack in his armor. "Oh, I know," he says, doubling down. "Low class, no education, probably on welfare when you're not slinging hash browns. Am I close? He grins, expecting applause from his crew, but the diner's gone deathly quiet. A trucker at the counter clenches his fist, and the teenage couple stops giggling, their phones now recording. Jake's heart races. He knows that look in Sarah's eyes, it's the same one he saw in soldiers before a fight, when every nerve was coiled for action. He slides off his stool, ready to intervene, but something in Sarah's stance stops him. She's not backing down, she's measuring. Careful, Ethan, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. Some stories cut deeper than you think. The words are cryptic, heavy with promise, and they send a chill through the room. Ethan scoffs, but his confidence wavers. He's used to winning these games, but Sarah's not playing by his rules. He retreats to his booth, tossing a final jab, whatever, freak. Keep the coffee coming. Sarah resumes her work, but her movements are different now, slower, more deliberate, like a chess player plotting 5 moves ahead. She catches Jake's eye for the first time, and he nods, a silent acknowledgement. He knows she's no stranger to battles, but what kind? The diner's manager, Tom, finally approaches, his voice shaky. Sarah, you okay? He asks, glancing nervously at Ethan's booth. She nods, her face unreadable. Just fine, Tom. Just fine. But her hand, resting on the counter, curls into a fist, the scars stretching white against her skin. Ethan, back at his table, whispers to Lucas, she's bluffing. Nobody's that cool under pressure. Lucas nods, but his eyes dart to Sarah, uneasy. The junior execs, Ryan and Nate, are less convinced, their laughter replaced by murmurs. Maybe we should chill, Ryan mutters, but Ethan waves him off. She's nothing, he says, loud enough for Sarah to hear. Just a nobody with a messed up face. The words are meant to sting, but Sarah's already turning away, her mind elsewhere. She's not just enduring, she's collecting. Every insult, every smirk, every detail about Carter-Teka's shady deals that Ethan's let slip over months of Thursdays. She's been listening, and now she's ready to use it. The diner's tension is a living thing, pulsing in the clatter of dishes and the hushed whispers of customers. Jake scribbles another note on his napkin, his instinct screaming that Sarah's about to flip the script. He's seen enough fights to know the quiet ones are the deadliest, and Sarah's silence is a grenade with the pin half pulled. As she pours coffee for a table of retirees, her eyes scan the room, cataloging faces, exits, threats. Ethan thinks he's in control, but he's just lit a fuse, and Sarah's the one holding the match. The air in Rusty's diner feels like it's holding its breath, the tension from Ethan Carter's latest barrage still rippling through the room. It's 6:45 p.m., and the Tulsa dusk has deepened, the neon sign outside casting jagged shadows across the linoleum. Sarah Miller, 38, moves with the precision of a surgeon, clearing a table littered with crumpled napkins and half-eaten fries. Her scarred hands, the target of Ethan's venom, work swiftly, betraying no tremor despite the eyes boring into her from every corner. Ethan, 42, slumps back in his booth, his tech bro crew murmuring among themselves, their earlier bravado dimmed by Sarah's unshakable calm. Lucas Hayes, his accountant, whispers something, but Ethan waves him off, his jaw tight. He's rattled, and he hates it. Sarah's refusal to break is a challenge he can't ignore, and the diner's watching, waiting for his next move. Jake Thompson, 45, sits rigid at the counter, his cold coffee forgotten. His army jacket is bunched beside him, and his eyes track Sarah like a hawk. He's seen her kind before, soldiers who carry their wars in their bones, their silence louder than any shout. Ethan's taunts, vicious as they were, didn't just slide off her, they seemed to sharpen something within her, like a blade being honed. Jake's gut churns with a mix of admiration and unease. He knows Sarah's holding back, but for what? As she passes his stool, wiping down a nearby table, her sleeve catches on a chair, riding up just enough to reveal a sliver of ink on her forearm. Jake's breath catches. The faded lines form a crest he'd recognize anywhere, the screaming eagle of the 101st Airborne. His heart slams against his ribs. She's no civilian. Jake leans forward, keeping his voice low. Fort Campbell, huh? He says, his words meant only for her. Sarah freezes, just for a heartbeat, her cloth pausing mid-swipe. Her eyes flick to his, assessing, wary, like a soldier spotting a sniper. She pulls her sleeve down, but not before Jake catches the full tattoo, bold, unmistakable, a mark of those who've jumped into hell and lived. You're airborne, he murmurs, respect lacing his tone. 2 tours in Afghanistan, I'm guessing Iraq for you. Sarah's lips press into a thin line, but she doesn't deny it. You served, she says, her voice a whisper, deflecting. Jake nods, his own scars, mental more than physical, flashing through his mind. Marines, Helmand Province. I know a warrior when I see one. The moment hangs, fragile, until Ethan's voice slices through it. What's this? Scarface got a fan club now. He's on his feet again, striding toward the counter, his eyes glinting with renewed malice. The diner's hum falters, customers leaning in, phones discreetly raised. Ethan plants himself a foot from Sarah, his shadow looming. You feeding this guy some sob story? What, you're a soldier now? With those hands? He laughs, but it's hollow, his confidence fraying under Sarah's steady gaze. She straightens, her posture shifting, subtle, but to Jake, it's like watching a tank roll into position. You wouldn't understand, Ethan, she says, her voice calm but carrying a weight that makes Lucas, watching from the booth, shift uneasily. Jake steps in, his voice firm but quiet. Back off, man. You're out of your depth. Ethan rounds on him, sneering. Oh, great, Grandpa's got opinions. Stay out of it, or you'll regret it. Jake doesn't flinch, his eyes locked on Ethan's, a silent promise of trouble if pushed. Sarah, though, touches Jake's arm lightly, a signal to stand down. Let him talk, she says, her tone almost amused. He's digging his own grave. The words are soft, but they land like a grenade, and Ethan's smirk falters. He's used to fear, not defiance, and Sarah's calm is a puzzle he can't solve. Sarah turns back to her work, but Jake sees it now, the way her eyes scan the room, cataloging every detail, every face. She's not just a waitress, she's a tactician, and Ethan's bluster is giving her ammunition. The manager, Tom Grayson, hovers near the kitchen, wringing his hands, his loyalty to Sarah warring with his fear of Ethan's wallet. The diner's patrons, some now openly glaring at Ethan, sense a shift, like the tide turning before a storm. Jake slides a crumpled bill under his mug, his mind racing. Sarah's no victim, she's a predator waiting for the right moment. And Ethan, oblivious, is about to hand her the trigger. The clock above Rusty's diner ticks past 7 p.m., and the Tulsa night presses against the windows, the neon glow outside flickering like a warning. Inside, the tension is a coiled spring, wound tight by Ethan Carter's relentless campaign to break Sarah Miller. Sarah, 38, moves through the diner with the grace of a panther, her scarred hands steady as she delivers a plate of pancakes to a table of late-night regulars. Ethan, 42, sits in his corner booth, his tech bro crew, Lucas Hayes, Ryan, and Nate, feeding off his agitation. The revelation of Sarah's military tattoo has thrown him off balance, and her calm defiance is a splinter under his skin. He can't let it go. The diner's patrons, sensing the brewing storm, keep their eyes on their plates, but their ears are tuned to Ethan's every word. Jake Thompson, 45, remains at the counter, his army jacket draped over the stool, his gaze locked on Sarah. He knows she's no ordinary waitress, and he's waiting for her to make her move. Ethan, his face flushed with a mix of bourbon and bruised ego, pulls out his phone, the sleek device glinting under the diner's fluorescent lights. All right, Scarface, he announces, his voice booming to ensure every head turns. Time to make you famous. He taps the screen, starting a live stream on Kartoteka's social media, the follower count climbing as his crew grins. Meet Sarah, Tulsa's finest freak show. He says, panning the camera to her as she wipes down a table. Look at those hands, bet they scare the kids away. Lucas laughs, loud and forced, while Ryan and Nate exchange nervous glances, their earlier enthusiasm waning. The diner's atmosphere shifts, the air growing thick with unease. A trucker mutters under his breath, and a young couple at a booth starts recording on their own phones, sensing a spectacle. Sarah straightens, her eyes meeting the camera's lens without a trace of fear. Keep rolling, Ethan, she says, her voice smooth as polished steel. You'll want this moment saved. The words are a dare, and Ethan, too arrogant to sense the trap, takes the bait. He strides closer, the phone's light casting harsh shadows across her scars. Oh, I'm saving it, he sneers. The world needs to see what a mess you are. What's Kartoteka's motto, boys? Lucas pipes up, clean up the trash. Ethan nods, emboldened. That's right. We get rid of dead weight, people who don't fit the image. Like you, Sarah. His words are reckless, spilling secrets he's too drunk on power to guard. The diner's patrons gasp, and Jake's hand tightens on his mug, his knuckles white. Sarah's lips curl into a faint, predatory smile, and she steps closer to Ethan, her movements deliberate. Tell me more about Kartotek, she says, her tone almost conversational but laced with menace. How do you decide who's trash? Is it the ones who don't look right, or the ones who don't bow to you? Ethan, caught up in his performance, doesn't see the net closing. It's simple, he brags, the camera still rolling. We streamline companies. Get rid of the problem cases, minorities, old-timers, anyone who drags down the brand. Done it for years. Lucas freezes, realizing Ethan's gone too far, but it's too late. Sarah's eyes gleam, and Jake leans forward, recognizing the tactic. She's not just enduring, she's extracting a confession. The manager, Tom Grayson, emerges from the kitchen, his face ashen. Ethan, maybe you should stop, he says, his voice trembling. Ethan rounds on him. Stay out of it, Tom. This is my show. But Sarah seizes the moment, her voice cutting through the chaos. No, let him talk. The world's listening, aren't they, Ethan? How many followers on that live stream now? 10,000. 20. Ethan glances at his phone, the climbing numbers feeding his ego. Keep watching, folks. He crows, oblivious to the noose tightening. Sarah tilts her head, her voice dropping to a whisper that carries. You're proud of Kartotek, aren't you? Proud of how you clean house. Tell them about the layoffs last year. The ones you called diversity purges. The room stills, the weight of her words sinking in. Ethan laughs, but it's nervous, his confidence cracking. Jake slides off his stool, his instincts screaming. He knows Sarah's not just fighting back, she's orchestrating a takedown. The diner's patrons are no longer passive, phones are out, capturing every word, every gesture. The young couple's video is already uploading to TikTok, the hashtag #RustyDiner trending. Sarah, sensing the shift, presses harder. You mentioned a client last week, she says, her tone casual but precise. Big retailer, wanted to fire their black employees without a lawsuit. What was the trick you used? Fake performance reviews, right? Ethan's face pales, but his pride won't let him back down. You're making that up, he snaps, but his voice wavers. Sarah's smile widens, cold and unyielding. Am I? Keep the camera on, Ethan. Let's see who believes you. Tom, now at the edge of panic, tries to intervene. Sarah, please, he whispers, but she shakes her head, her eyes never leaving Ethan. No, Tom. He wanted an audience. He's got one. The diner is a pressure cooker, every word a spark that could ignite the whole place. Jake, now standing, catches Sarah's glance, a silent question passing between them. He nods, ready to back her play. Ethan, cornered by his own arrogance, doubles down, his live stream now a liability he can't escape. Sarah's not just a waitress anymore, she's a strategist, and Ethan's just handed her the weapon she's been waiting for. The stage is set, and the diner braces for the explosion. The fluorescent lights of Rusty's diner buzz like a swarm of angry wasps, casting stark shadows across the checkered floor. It's 7:15 p.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the air is electric, charged with the weight of a showdown that's been building for months. Sarah Miller, 38, stands at the center of the storm, her scarred hands resting lightly on the counter, her eyes locked on Ethan Carter. Ethan, 42, clutches his phone, his live stream still running, the follower count soaring past 30,000 as his tech bro crew, Lucas Hayes, Ryan, and Nate, watch in stunned silence. The diner's patrons, from truckers to families, are riveted, their phones raised, capturing every heartbeat of this unraveling drama. Jake Thompson, 45, leans against the counter, his army jacket slung over his shoulder, his gaze steady on Sarah. He knows what's coming, a reckoning, and he's ready to witness it. Ethan's arrogance has lit the fuse, and Sarah's about to detonate. Ethan, his face a mix of bravado and unease, waves his phone like a trophy. "You think you're smart, Sarah?" He sneers, his voice loud but brittle. "You're nothing, just a burned-out waitress with a chip on her shoulder. This live stream's gonna bury you." His crew forces a laugh, but it's hollow, their eyes darting to Sarah, who hasn't moved, hasn't blinked. The diner's manager, Tom Grayson, stands frozen near the kitchen, his dish rag limp in his hands, torn between fear of Ethan's influence and awe at Sarah's composure. Sarah tilts her head, her voice low and deliberate, each word a scalpel. "Bury me, Ethan. You sure about that?" She reaches into her apron pocket, pulling out her own phone, its screen glowing with an audio app, "Because I've been burying you for 9 months. The room inhales, a collective gasp as Sarah taps her screen. A recording crackles to life, Ethan's voice unmistakable, echoing through the diner. "The trick is to make it look legal," he says in the clip, smug and casual. "Low performance scores, late arrivals, cultural fit, whatever sticks. We cleaned out half the minority staff at that retailer in 24, no lawsuits." The diner erupts in murmurs, heads shaking, phones zooming in. Ethan's face drains of color, his phone trembling in his hand. "That's fake." He shouts, but his voice cracks, betraying him. Sarah's smile is cold, lethal. "Fake. I've got 9 months of these, Ethan. Every Thursday, you and your boys spilling Carter Tekka's dirtiest secrets while I poured your coffee. Want another?" She plays a second clip, "Diversity hires are a liability. We tell clients to cut fast, blame it on restructuring." Lucas slumps in the booth, Ryan and Nate staring at the floor, their careers flashing before their eyes. Sarah steps forward, her presence commanding, her voice rising just enough to carry. "You thought I was invisible, Ethan. Just a waitress, too broken to matter. But I was listening. Every shady deal, every client you screwed over, every purge you bragged about, it's all here." She holds up her phone, the audio app a guillotine. "And it's not just here. I sent these files to the Department of Labor, the EEOC, and every news outlet in Oklahoma an hour ago." The diner explodes, gasps, cheers, a trucker slamming his fist on the table in approval. Jake's grin is fierce, his respect for Sarah cemented. Ethan stumbles back, his live stream now a noose, the comments flooding with outrage, expose him. Carter Tekka's done. But Sarah's not finished. She leans into Ethan's camera, her scarred face filling the frame, her voice a quiet thunder. "You wanted to make me famous, Ethan. Let's make you famous too." She pulls up Carter Tekka's social media on her phone, revealing she's hijacked the live stream's caption, "Sarah Miller, decorated Iraq War veteran, exposes Carter Tech CEO Ethan Carter for discriminatory practices." The diner roars, patrons clapping, some standing, their phones streaming the moment to X, TikTok, everywhere. Ethan's phone buzzes incessantly, clients, investors, his wife, all pulling the plug. No, he mutters, scrolling through notifications, his empire crumbling in real time. This can't be happening. Sarah's eyes blaze, but her voice stays even, a general delivering a final blow. You mocked my scars, Ethan, but they're from saving lives, soldiers, civilians, people you'll never understand. 3 tours in Iraq, 101st Airborne, combat medic. These hands pulled men from burning Humvees. What have yours done? The diner falls silent, her words a sacred weight. A young mother wipes tears, a veteran at the counter salutes. Ethan, cornered, tries to rally. You're lying. You're nobody. But his voice is a whimper, drowned by the crowd's growing chant, Sarah. Sarah. Jake steps forward, his presence a quiet threat. You're done, Carter. Sit down or walk out. Tom, finally finding his spine, moves to Sarah's side. You need to leave, Ethan, he says, his voice firm. Ethan's crew scrambles to gather their things, Lucas muttering apologies, Ryan and Nate already slipping toward the door. Ethan, alone, clutches his phone, the live stream still broadcasting his defeat. This isn't over, he spits, but his eyes betray panic. Sarah shakes her head, almost pitying. It was over the moment you thought you could break me. She turns away, resuming her work, the diner's applause washing over her like a wave. Ethan staggers out, the bell above the door jangling like a death knell. The patrons swarm Sarah, offering handshakes, hugs, words of awe. Jake catches her eye, nodding with a soldier's respect. Hell of a move, Airborne, he says. Sarah's smile is small but real, the first crack in her armor. The diner's alive, buzzing with righteous energy, the moment already going viral. Outside, Ethan's BMW peels out of the lot, but inside, Sarah stands taller, her scars no longer a shame but a crown. She's not just a waitress, she's a warrior, and Ethan's just learned the cost of crossing one. The dust settles in Rusty's diner, but the echoes of Sarah Miller's triumph still reverberate through the Tulsa night. It's 7:30 p.m., and the diner's fluorescent glow feels warmer, as if Sarah's stand has lit a fire under the tired linoleum. Sarah, 38, moves with quiet purpose, stacking plates behind the counter, her scarred hands steady despite the crowd's lingering awe. The patrons, once silent witnesses to Ethan Carter's cruelty, now buzz with energy, their voices a mix of admiration and disbelief. Jake Thompson, 45, sits back at the counter, his coffee reheated, his eyes tracking Sarah with a soldier's respect. Ethan, 42, is gone, his BMW's taillights a fading memory, but the wreckage of his empire is just beginning to unfold. The diner's manager, Tom Grayson, wipes down a table, his earlier hesitation replaced by a newfound pride in Sarah. Outside, the Tulsa skyline glimmers, unaware of the seismic shift that's just occurred in this roadside eatery. Ethan's downfall is swift and merciless. Within hours, Carter Tekka's social media accounts are besieged, the viral live stream, now at 20 million views, fueling a firestorm of outrage. Major clients, from retail giants to tech startups, sever ties, their PR teams scrambling to distance themselves from Ethan's recorded confessions of discriminatory purges. By midnight, news outlets across Oklahoma and beyond run headlines, Tulsa CEO exposed by hero waitress. The Department of Labor launches a formal investigation, and the EEOC flags Carter Tech for systemic violations. Ethan's phone, once a symbol of his power, is now a brick of bad news, his lawyer, his CFO, even his wife, all cutting him loose. By week's end, Carter Tekka's stock plummets, its Tulsa headquarters shuttered, and Ethan is spotted driving a rented compact, his Rolex pawned to cover legal fees. His name, once synonymous with tech success, is now a byword for disgrace. Sarah, meanwhile, becomes an overnight icon. The viral video, amplified by hashtags like #SarahMiller and #JusticeAtRusty's, transforms her from a waitress into a symbol of resilience. Veteran groups reach out, inviting her to speak at national conventions, while workplace advocacy organizations seek her as a consultant on anti-discrimination policies. Her story resonates far beyond Tulsa, inspiring X posts and TikTok tributes that rack up millions of likes. At Rusty's, the diner's vibe shifts. Regulars who once ignored Ethan's taunts now greet Sarah with nods of respect, their tips heavier, their smiles genuine. A local artist paints a mural on the diner's exterior, Sarah in her army uniform, her scars glowing like badges of honor. The diner's business booms, drawing crowds eager to meet the woman who toppled a titan. Jake, inspired by Sarah's courage, decides to stay in Tulsa. He and Sarah form a partnership, launching a nonprofit called Valor Forward to help veterans transition to civilian life. Their first meeting, held in Rusty's back room, draws dozens of former soldiers, each sharing stories of struggle and strength. Jake, once adrift, finds purpose, his bond with Sarah forged in their shared understanding of war's cost. "You didn't just take down Ethan," he tells her over coffee one evening. "You gave us all a reason to stand taller." Sarah, still adjusting to her new role, nods, her eyes distant but warm. "I didn't plan this," she admits. "But I'm not hiding anymore." The Tulsa community awakens, its apathy shattered by Sarah's example. Rusty's becomes a pilgrimage site, its walls lined with a Valor wall showcasing Sarah's medals alongside photos of other local veterans. Customers who once turned a blind eye to Ethan's cruelty now speak up, calling out rudeness with a newfound boldness. A retired teacher, who sat silently through months of Ethan's rants, approaches Sarah with a trembling apology. "I should have said something," she whispers. Sarah squeezes her hand. "You're saying it now. That's what counts." The diner's jukebox, once stuck on old country, now plays anthems of defiance, chosen by patrons who see Rusty's as a battleground one. Tom, the manager, hangs a sign, "Respect served daily," a quiet nod to Sarah's impact. The transformation is palpable. A group of high schoolers, inspired by Sarah's story, starts a social media campaign to honor overlooked workers, their videos racking up views. A veteran who'd hidden his service begins wearing his old unit cap, his head high. Sarah, though, remains grounded, her days split between diner shifts and advocacy work. One night, as she locks up, a young waitress confides, "I was scared to speak up before. Now I'm not." Sarah's smile is soft but fierce. "Good. Never let them make you small." Outside, the Tulsa stars burn bright, and Rusty stands as a beacon, proof that one voice can shift a city's soul. The stage is set for Ethan's final reckoning, and Sarah's legacy is only beginning. 3 months have passed since Sarah Miller's seismic stand at Rusty's Diner, and the Tulsa night hums with a quiet reverence. It's 8 p.m., and the diner's neon sign bathes the gravel lot in a steady glow, a far cry from the flickering chaos of that fateful evening. Inside, Sarah, 38, now assistant manager, oversees a bustling shift, her scarred hands guiding a new waitress through the dinner rush. The Valor wall, adorned with her medals and photos of local veterans, gleams under the lights, a testament to her legacy. Patrons, from families to grizzled truckers, treat her with a deference that feels like a shared secret. Jake Thompson, 45, sips coffee at the counter, his nonprofit with Sarah, Valor Forward, now a lifeline for dozens of veterans. The diner's transformation is complete, but the past is about to knock. Ethan Carter, 42, steps through the door, the bells jangle cutting through the chatter like a gunshot. He's a shadow of his former self, his tailored blazer replaced by a wrinkled hoodie, his Rolex long gone, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. Carter Teka's collapse has left him jobless, divorced, and vilified, his name a punchline on X. The diner falls silent, forks pausing, as Ethan shuffles toward the counter. Sarah, alerted by a waitress's whisper, turns, her face a mask of calm but her eyes sharp, assessing. Jake straightens, ready to intervene, but Sarah's subtle nod keeps him seated. Ethan's voice is low, cracked. "Sarah, I need to talk. Please." The plea is raw, desperate, and the diner leans in, phones discreetly raised, sensing a final act. Sarah gestures to a quiet booth, her movements measured. "5 minutes," she says, her tone firm but not unkind. Ethan sits, his hands trembling as he clutches a coffee mug she slides his way. "I'm ruined," he begins, his voice barely above a whisper. "The lawsuits, the videos, my family, everything's gone. I'm begging you, pull the recordings. Give me a chance to start over." His eyes search hers, but Sarah's gaze is steady, unyielding. "You think this is about revenge, Ethan?" she asks, her voice low, cutting. "You humiliated me for months, mocked my service, my scars. You built your empire on lies and thought I'd stay silent. Why should I undo the truth?" The words are a blade, and Ethan flinches, his bravado shattered. The diners hum resumes, but the booth feels like a courtroom. Ethan's voice breaks. "I was wrong, okay? I didn't know who you were." Sarah leans forward, her scars catching the light. "That's the point, Ethan. Respect isn't owed to medals or titles, it's owed to everyone. You chose cruelty. Now you live with it." Her words are final, a verdict delivered with the weight of her 3 tours in Iraq. Ethan's head bows, tears streaking his face, but Sarah stands, her dignity a fortress. "Finish your coffee," she says, turning away. The diner erupts in quiet applause, a nod to her grace under pressure. Ethan slinks out, the bells chime a funeral toll for his last hope. Weeks later, Rusty's thrives as a national symbol of justice. Sarah's advocacy with Valor Forward has sparked policy changes, with Oklahoma passing stronger workplace protections for veterans. She's a sought-after speaker, her story inspiring millions. The diner's jukebox plays anthems of resilience, and the Valor Wall grows with new photos. Jake, now a community leader, reflects with Sarah over late-night coffee. "You changed more than Ethan," he says. "You changed us all." Sarah smiles, her scars no longer a burden but a beacon. The life lesson is clear: true strength lies in standing tall, not tearing others down. Respect is universal, earned by how you treat the unseen. Sarah's voice, in a final address to the camera, rings out, "Share your story of standing up. Subscribe, and let's keep this fight alive."